Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Today in Gyanavardhini session, we have Mr. Mahadev Tukaram. He is the founder of Startup Solutions and creator of DPDP1 compliance management platform, specifically built for Indian organizations who are trying to get DPDPA ready. He has 28 years of vast experience in information security, GRC, cybersecurity consulting, and he has helped a lot of organizations move from spreadsheet-based compliance regime to a connected, auditable systems. He is also an active contributor to the India's data protection community, and he writes regularly about the privacy, security, and compliance operations. Um, Today, he is going to talk about and introduce the DPDP1 platform, which he has built, the compliance management platform. It is actually uh, in line with Navisearch DGPSI framework. So over to you, Mr. Mahadev, sir.
Thank you, Srivatsa, for the introduction. Actually, I had a slide about introducing myself, but probably I would have not presented my introduction as good as you had. Thanks
Great,
for that.
great, great.
Okay. You were bang on whatever you had said. Okay.
Thank you.
Um, Thank you. Okay. So let me share the screen.
Yeah,
Please
please.
continue with it. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Okay. So we have all been consultants, privacy consultants, CAs. Some of them might be CAs and some of them might be legal experts who had joined in here. But when I'm talking from my experience perspective, we have all been there, done this with respect to may not be to DPDPA, but with other regulations or other
Mahadev, sir,
security
just
standards.
sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt you. Would you mind opening your video, please? So that it's
Okay.
easy for the audience to connect with you along with the slides. Thank you.
Yeah. Once again, light may not be appropriate. Let me try. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So as I was saying, we have been there and we have done assessments. We have done privacy audits. We have ensured privacy, probably not with DPDPA, but with other other compliances like GDPR, for example, right? And maybe some country specifics if we are in KSA and all, right? Every country now has a privacy requirement. So during what I found during my engagements or implementations is there are GRC products, but they are very heavy, like RSA Archer. So once you start using it, you don't know where to start and where to end. Okay, so it has everything, but it is not so easy also to implement it. Now, when we have this DPDPA coming into India, one thing that struck was, yes, we need a platform, especially India being such a huge country, and there are many SMEs and MSMEs that would require to be compliant. Of course, the enterprises may have their tools, etc., but those SMEs and MSMEs is where there could be gap, especially related to tools they could be able to use it from two perspectives. One is ease of use, and other is being affordable. So the two things that we wanted to fill into, and that is when we started designing. I started designing the DPDP1, and I've come up with the product. So this is an effort that has been taken about almost 10 months now, and we are in the phase where we had rolled out for uh, known years for evaluation. So there are a lot of improvements that has been done based on uh, the suggestions that's been given. For example, maybe by people like Ashok, who is also FDPA member, and all other members that who have given their feedbacks. And I'm thankful for all those people who had given the feedback. And hopefully, this product fits everybody for their usage. Now we have only about 10 months of time remaining to be compliant. So working with Excel is very a pain point. So DPDP one is a solution that will give you one single place where you can manage the entire compliance requirements for yourself, for your organization yourself, and also for your customers or clients. Okay. So whenever there is a requirement, the first thing that comes into is about scoping a project, right? So the first thing you would do is probably send out a questionnaire, inquire with their requirements, get their inputs, and then ship out your scope document, probably make it into a proposal also. So the first module we would look at
Sorry,
or look
Mahadev
into
sir.
is, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. I think your voice is a little bit fading at times.
Shall I stop the video? Probably it's taking up the bandwidth, maybe.
Okay, okay, let's try
Uh,
that. Yeah. Mm.
let's try that only. Okay. Uh, so is it breaking or it is that it is low?
It is somewhat low, sir.
Low. Okay. So let me get the mic
Yeah, now it
closer.
was better. I think you have to bring your mic a little closer
Yeah,
to
I
you.
think the close. I'm getting the close mic closer.
Yeah,
Okay.
now it is better.
Yeah. So the first thing we would look at is the scoping ability of the product. This is where you can create a scope for each of your client. So whenever you have a inquiry, you can start it as a new project. Okay. So it will present you the screen where you can fill in the uh, details, the basic details, right? Once you fill in the basic details, it will give you a URL, a specific URL for a questionnaire that can send it to your customer. So once you use this, let's say your customer enters this URL, he'll be presented with this DPDPA readiness as questionnaire, right? So out of 4 sections, there are about 20 questions that they would answer, which captures details on the organization, their details about how they are processing uh, the privacy data or the uh, data of individuals in their business. So once this capture is done, they will be able to look at the complexity of the project based on the inputs that they have given. Once that is done, you'll have the effort estimate for those phases of the project in days. Okay, of course, this is based on a logic. So for each phase and based on the each questions, we have a logic built, weightage based effort estimate. Depending on the complexity, it arrives at the number of dates that may be required for each of the phase, and it will give you a total number of days. That might be the perspective of the product, but you have the ability to change the number of days. Okay, I can change it to 7.5 days, or I can change this to 5 days, and I can update the effort estimate. So once this effort estimate is done, you have a ready scope documentation ready. So you click on this download button, you have the scoping report ready for use. Okay. Sorry, it opened up. Okay. So this is the DPDPA readiness scoping report that you could use to send it to your customer. Of course, this is a Word document you get. You can make tweak changes. So it has all the 4 sections. It gives you an executive summary, detail about the company, the client profile. Then it gives you an applicability assessment, complexity assessment, and recommended engagement model, and the number of days or weeks it would take, and details of the phases. Okay. It will have an annexure of all the responses that the customer had given. So this is the scoping document. Two options when you are filling the questionnaire. What I showed you is that the customer will receive URL and they can fill, but it's not necessary that all the details has to be filled by customer. If you are doing it offline for yourself, you can fill in the questionnaire manually. Okay, so both options are available. Okay, uh, this actually replaces your manual Excel calculation or your word process documentation, which takes probably 2-3 hours. Here it is ready for you in less than 10 minutes. Think about this when you are doing this scoping for multiple clients, you will have to deal and do this every day in, day out for different clients. Saves you enormous time for that. Now, once the scoping is done and you have engagement agreed with the customer, you onboard the customer, you get into assessment. So first you do is the gap assessment, right? So there's one already started. Okay. So as soon as you click on start assessment, the first it will go through a series of questionnaires. There are 70 plus questions spread across all the compliance domains, right? Uh, you will select, you agree to this, then the next. You initially capture details of the organization, then you will capture the details of what are the processes that exist across each of the domain and requirements as per DPDPA. Once you answer these 70 questions, you will have a assessment report ready. So the dashboard you see here, the previous assessment that was done today is 76% compliant. So this is an entire report for the assessment done. Right? So the important part is that it gives you an action plan for all the gaps identified. Every gap will have a suggested action plan with a DPDPA section reference and also an effort indicator. Okay. It says probably it takes 30 to 60 days to get this done. So this becomes the project plan for the engagement. So this is uh, sorted based on the criticality, the critical first, then the high, likewise. So you will get action plan for all of the identified gaps. You can download this assessment report and share it to the client. So this is how assessment report would look. So the executive summary followed by a domain scorecard for each of the domains. Then prioritized action plan. For each of the actionable items. Okay. Now, from the governance perspective, our product is aligned with DGPSI. And wherever references are required, the references are made even for the DGPSI requirement. So at present, this is the status of DPDP1's alignment to DGPSI framework. Okay, we are working on some of the gaps, and it will be compliant to most of them as much as possible. Why I mentioned as much as possible is not everything is capturable by our tool, because our tool is going to be a governance tool. It will not going to be a tool for controls. Okay, the control requirements would not probably not met for our product. So the key point is the assessment framework that you do. The all assessment is versioned. So that means, let's say in future, DPDPA comes out with new rules and notifications. We release a new framework version, and you can reassess for the same customer. And when you are reassessing this, the customers, or you would have to assess only the new questions and skip what was already answered. So you don't have to go through the entire 79, probably the new questions as well. Right?
This is Ramesh here. Can I have a question at this point?
Yeah, Ramesh.
Can you please go back? Can you please help me to understand more? Just come down. Take one, for example, because it's interesting to me that you also talked about DGPSI has been implemented. Yeah,
You want me to take the report that is already there?
take that report. There are the domain scorecard. Just stay there. Probably you take, let's say, security safeguards as one section. We are talking 75%. Can you please walk me through what we are really looking at it, and this particular domain, how it is mapped toward DGPSI?
Okay. Probably a good question. In this report, we don't have
No,
the
no,
section
no
wise.
issues. No issues.
Yeah.
I understand. I understand. Not in this report. As part of the tool,
Okay.
how the
So,
DGPSI takes some of the controls, because I'm familiar with the DGPSI,
mm, mm,
and how this DGPSI control is mapped to the expectations of the DPDPA. Let's take one breach notification or consent and notice, and then if you can help me, I'll be happy to see that. Because
yeah.
you go back to the Excel sheet for a minute if you don't mind. What you showed that DGPSI, very nice it is.
Mhm,
Now let's say I don't use AI model at all.
mm,
Assume.
mm.
So I don't have to worry about this 9 principles what DGPS is talking about.
True.
Am I right?
True. Correct.
So from that context, I wanted to have at least one example. If you can walk me, I'll be very happy. Thank you.
Okay. So, of course, we have about, as you see, 91 requirements that is in this DGPSI framework. Of course, as you said, not everything applies to everybody, right? And uh, how these things are mapped, like, for example, you asked about ROPA requirement, right? Having ROPA is one of the requirements under DGPSI, right? Uh, the mapping is within our logic, right? So here we don't have a separate section saying anywhere saying, okay, map it to DGPSI or anything. Okay, probably in our assessment report, I think this is still not there in this report. Okay, we will map this all of these requirements into DGPSI requirement as well. Like we have mapped it to DPDP reference, we'll have the references mapped to DGPSI. Probably this is what you are looking for, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry for that. Now we have mapped it to DP. We still have not mapped to
Okay. No
the
problem.
product.
No problem.
So from the product perspective, there is very little that is visible on the product with respect to GPSI, because we are still in the phase of evaluating and mapping what is already there in our product. Okay, and we are having our roadmap created to be aligned with this DGPSA requirement in phases. Okay, probably once we have this mapped and created, we will have all these references available, like the references are available for this DPDPA. That will help, right?
I got it. I got it. I understand. So now, forget about DGPSI for the moment. Now, you take, let's say, you are referring here. It's 1 minute. Just read it. DGPSI, the first one, let's take address compliance gap in general module. Now, can you please help me? What we are looking at it to arrive at this is critical, and it is going to take 30 to 60 days for my implementation. How did we arrive at it? What kind of internal points have been discussed under this bullet number 1? Are you getting my question?
Yeah, I understood.
Super,
Okay,
super. Thank you.
like you are looking at this evidence part.
No, first
right?
of all, fair enough, no
Yeah,
problem.
for example, see, this is what it is. So, section in the general module says that the organization, does it have a general protection gap, and
Exactly.
gap,
That's what I
right?
wanted to look at.
Yeah.
What kind of parameters 1, 2, 3, 4 we are checking, and I'm saying, hey, it is fully implemented, or it is partially implemented, or it is not implemented at all.
Okay. See, that thing is within our questionnaire.
Can you please walk
Okay.
me through one section?
Yeah. Okay. This is pre-filled, so it's just saying that we'll use the pre-filled value for some of the things. Okay. This is about the organization, because the organization is already set up. So it will have those information. It's a private limited company, and it's a confirmation. That's all. Okay. So first, we'll look into which sector it is. Probably this is IT SaaS, right? Or just organization details. Okay. How many individuals data is processed, right? The context in which the data, personal data, is used. Okay. So where organization operates primarily from. So that's on the organization profile. So next we will check the applicability. Right. So first, whether it collects and stores any information that can be classified as personal information, right? So this is an evaluation that's being done, whether PDPA will be applicable to them or not. Okay. In what form it is stored, the individual data is stored. Okay, so this is about 79 questions. So, and all the assessment report that comes out is based on weightages that is there assigned to each one of them. So, if it exists, what would be? If it does not exist, what would be?
Just a minute. Just very good. Thank you very much. First of all, just go up slowly about
Yeah.
that question. Does your organization use? Stay there. When you say section 3, if my understanding is right, you are mapping the section 3 of DPDPA. Is that right?
No, this is our section.
Aha. Okay. If that is the
Because we
case,
have 5 sections of.
very good, very good. Now, where this question is getting mapped to my DPDPA requirement?
Here
Or,
we are not. Okay, see, the questionnaire when we are assessing,
yeah,
we are not specifying for all the questions.
yeah,
Okay, for some specific questions,
yeah.
okay, we are referring it.
Okay.
Okay.
You understand, right? I'm looking
Yeah.
at 1. Let's say if you're talking about 36 shall requirements in my DPDPA, whether the 36 are getting mapped, because that is very basic thing. Then this 36 requirements of my DPDPA is getting mapped to my DGPSI principle as applicable. When there is a mapping table between this and that. Then
Yes.
yes, I'm going to say that DGPSI is mapped here to implement this particular requirement, and this is my evidence, and hence I'm rating this as fully implemented or partially implemented, not implemented, and so on.
I got your point. See, what you are looking at is, when I am answering this question, what are the sections of DPDPA that I am trying to answer with this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. See, we have to look at the way we run the assessment. We don't run the assessment questionnaire based on line to line with the requirement, right? Because one answer in one of this can address multiple requirements of the act,
Yeah.
right? So what we have done is we are not bothering the customer only with mapping and understanding why this is required or anything. It's a general questionnaire. So as we progress, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Got it.
When there are specific ones that is required to the DPDPA, right? It is referenced. Why we are asking this question? For example, see, the DPDPA Act applies to any organization processing personal data of individuals in India. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So wherever relevant, yeah, certain purposes may qualify for exemption under Section 17 of DPDPA Act. So why we are asking this? So Section 17 is highlighted
Because
here.
the following best practices describe the primary purposes. Okay.
Okay, Section C3. Oh, sorry, this is actually mapped to this. Okay, Section 3C. These are for the particular sections. Sorry for that.
Absolutely. That's what I understood. I got it. That's what I was looking at. I got it.
Yeah, yeah.
It makes sense now because it's like a bottom up, right? If all
Yes,
that questions are answered, then it is fully implemented, or otherwise it needs to be objectively evaluated, and then I
correct,
give that dashboard what you showed now. Thank you.
correct. So once the basic things are collected, we'll look into the SDF indicator, evaluate whether they fall under the SDF category. Yes, right now the thresholds have not yet been formally notified. Okay, so probably we are giving more weightage to the volume of the data as of now. Right? Okay. So that I hope it addresses your question. Okay. So the next module I wanted to show you is about ROPA. So the record of processing activities is a legal requirement for the compliance, right? So we have to map the client's every processing activity, their legal basis, what category of data that they are processing, right? And what are the third parties involved and everything. So we have a comprehensive ROPA section. These are already linked to the assessment. That means if they have mapped their activities here, it feeds into the compliance score. Right? So for any activity, we can provide the activity name, the department responsible for it, description of the activity, what personal data has been processed, purpose and the legal basis. Okay, what is the legal basis? Data sources, retention schedule, security measures, and when is the next review scheduled. Um, we can probably look at one of the filled ones, how it looks when it is filled. Okay. So this is our ROPA module. Then we have a notice generator. We know that DPDPA requires that the organization should give out or give data principals privacy notice, right? So we have a notice generator which generates DPDP compliant notice for different sectors. Right now, we have for health and education and tech and general. 3 models are available, right? For example, for this, we have for general one, probably we are still not generated privacy. Okay, I'll say what are the details collected. Purpose of collection. Customer support or employee management. And data retention period. For the demo sake, I'm just taking 3 years. And data protection contact. Okay. So this is disclaimer. Okay. So this is a template-based privacy description, privacy notice, and we are still working on this to implement several more granularity into this. And we will be taking into, once the assessment is completed, we will be taking the answers given in this assessment, generate the notice. Right now, we have notice generation available for 2 languages, that is English and Hindi. Right? And future roadmap is to have all the 22 languages available. Now, the next important module that probably we can look at is the consent register. So right now, we have consent to be recorded manually. That is, you click on this add consent record. You enter the details of the data principal's email, data principal name, purpose for which it is collected, consent receive date, consent mechanism, okay, and the evidence for the consent, and the version of the consent that they have acknowledged for, and the expiry date for it. Okay, and this expiry date is automatically selected based on the purpose. So some of them may be for 1 year, some of them may be for 3 years. And you define this purpose. Okay, so we have a module where you define the purposes. Okay. Apart from filling in the consent manually, you have ability to import from a CSV file, right? So a template can be provided, can be downloaded from here. The template can be filled, and you can import the data into the system. Okay. The data that is filled is validated. It's not that any data will be imported. So out of the 3, only 1 is imported because only 1 was valid. Others were not a valid data, right? Once you import it, it will be available in the register. The other way of getting the consent data is through API. So if your customers already have the consent data available in any of their database or in any of other systems, they can use our API, send in that consent data into this. Right? Apart from this, we are working on the cookie-based consent management. That is, the customer would include our cookie script, and whenever the customer accepts consent on the customer's website, the consent gets registered on our system here. So this will give you a consent registry where you can see all your consents. One view, right? So you'll know how many are active, how many are going to expire, all of them available in one screen.
Mahadev sir, one question here.
Yes.
There are some expired consents over here.
Mm.
Will there be any action items based on that, like renewing the consent or
Yeah.
sending
Very good.
communication based on that?
Yes, very good question. We already have this request come in and logged in because we were discussing whether the expired whether the expired consent can be renewed. Okay, so what would be the basis for getting it renewed?
Yeah,
Right.
because I see a date here which is 2010.
Exactly.
It's a very long duration and very old data, and may
Yeah.
not be a requirement for you to hold the data or renew the consent there for such a long or
Correct.
overdue
Correct.
data.
Yeah. So that's what. See, a lot of things are still not clear as we discussed in our last meet and everything, and the discussion is happening every day in day out. What is the right thing to do? Right. And every consultant has their own view also. And the fact is, there is no one right thing. Maybe not, especially not for everything. Right. Some places we may agree, and some places we may not. Now, your question about renewing it. So the question we are facing now is whether to add it as a new consent, or is there anything concept called as renew at all? Right. So that's a big discussion that still needs to happen. Probably in our next meet we can discuss on this. But we are considering to have a renew mechanism, uh, probably with a justification.
Yeah,
Because
renew
any
mechanism with a
changes,
justification within a given time period
yeah,
that will work.
before
Beyond
the
that, there could
expiry,
be an yeah,
probably before the expiry.
yeah. Okay.
That is what we are thinking. Okay. If you have any suggestions, please do let me know.
Sure.
Good point. Okay. So whenever there is a withdraw, we can withdraw the request. Okay. So that gets withdrawn. If I say withdrawn, I'll get all the withdrawn requests. So one place for you to manage the entire consent. Right. Now we have rights management also.
Will it give us a trigger if that following person's consent is expiring in this month? Some
Yes,
kind of.
it does. It does. Sir.
Okay. Okay.
See here, expiring in less than 30 days. When we go to the dashboard, it also says there are two consent records which is expiring in 30 days. It will bring it to you. Okay. And it can also it will also notify on withdrawal. All the activities are notified to the data subject on any changes made to the data.
This is automatically notify and send notification to the data subject, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Good, good. This.
Okay. So now the next important thing is this rights management. Right, under section 12, we have to provide all the rights that the data principal has. That is for access, correction, erasure, nomination, right? So we have one workflow for this thing. So we can manually log a right request. Okay. So for example, this is a request for correction. I have received it through email. Probably I had received it in the morning at 10:30. Okay, I'll provide full name. Let's use this. We'll say Okay, so then we have this verification method, like how was the data subject verified, right? It's not that anybody can just come and ask some data to be changed, right? So how did we verify this? Was it over an email confirmation? Was an identity-based verification done, etc. So if I had done with an identification based, if we have this, or if the customer has their Aadhaar or PAN stored based on the reference number of the customer, the way it was verified, and what time it was verified. Maybe this was verified at 1840. Okay, so again on the notification part, when we are saving this, we have an option whether to send an acknowledgement to the data principal or not. So by default, we will send it. So this request has come into this, and the SLA starts clicking. 7-day SLA. Right? So this is one way, and other way is the customer or you might have your own portal, request portal, rights request portal. Okay, so our product gives you a rights request portal. You can map this to your own domain. Okay, and the users can submit their requests. Like same request could come from here. Correct my data, fill in the form, and this automatically populates in our rights portal or the rights database. Right? All things that we do for each of this thing is documented. So if one is already fulfilled, we can go into and see the details of it. You will have a correspondence system that has happened between you and the data subject. Like the acknowledgement sent to the user, when was the acknowledgement sent? When was the response sent? All things will be logged.
So this traceability is maintained when it was actually.
Sorry?
I mean, the traceability is maintained.
Yes, yes. Very important, right? So that is why we are
Yes,
doing
yes.
all this automation. So this brings in lot of easiness to be compliant when you are using our product. And when you are consulting to your customers, if you are managing their compliance, it will become much more easier for you. Instead of you being able to consult 5 customers, you will be able to consult 50 customers now. So that means additional revenue for you, right? So considering the time constraint, we don't have so much time. I think I will just touch base on other important things on probably from the governance perspective. Appointment of DPO, if it is applicable, the grievance officer is all tracked. Okay. Now we have a separate module designed based on one of the customers asking for it, where the consultant wanted to know or wanted to have a mechanism where they can decide if that customer is a significant data fiduciary. And this module, remember, we tried to assess at one stage when we were doing the assessment, but this will be a more detailed assessment to determine whether they are SDF or not. Okay, there are 10 criteria that right now it is there. Okay, which you can see here: the volume and sensitivity, children's data processing, biometric data being processed, and all. So based on this, there is an entire questionnaire that you can go through and do. And of course, this will be updated as and when the directions comes from the board. Right? Now on AI processing, if AI is being used by the customer, right? The disclosure part on the justification documentation can be had in this place. That means this governance module directly maps even to the DGPSI specifications on AI. I think it's AI P3 and AI P4. That is what specifies it requires disclosure and justification. Right? Yeah, requirement under DGPSI AI P4. Right? We have a compliance calendar. This acts as your calendar for all the reminders, right? What is pending in a particular month or a day, etc., will be visible here. Either you can have it in a calendar view or in the list view. Okay. So in this month, these are all due. These are the things that's there. So the you or the customer does not have to go through your Excel sheet or through your reminders somewhere else. You just come into this section, you know what is due for which customer to be done at what time. Okay. Now, another important point, this is not only for your organization. This is designed even not only for the organizations like SMEs, MSMEs who want to do their own compliance, but it is also designed for consultants like you, consultants and service providers like you. That means you can assess your customers within this. So we have white label feature available. So this is one of the white labeled customer. You can design the look and feel, color schemes, everything, even the logo as per your requirement, right? Not only that, when you are in our Pro Plus plan, even all the communications, everything will go from your branding, not from DPDP1 branding. So if I click on the white label, I have the option to choose the logo to be visible, brand name that is visible. Okay, what colors that I need to be using. For example, if you say this is a green base, whereas the other one was standard white background and all. So if you want a darker background, you can choose it. Support contacts for your organization, right? Then it will not display our domain. Okay. For example, this is the domain name. Okay. So if you go to this, it will get this portal available for the customer. That means your customer will see your domain, not DPDP1 domain. And all reports and emails will you have the ability to send from your email ID. Okay. So except for disclaimer, you will not see our DPDP1 branding anywhere when you are in the white label plan. So domain verification is done. So when you go to this dpdp.masterinfosec.in, it will be master infosec. So probably the certificate is not implemented on the domain. Okay. Right. So this is the white labeling that is available for you. So you can create your own customers, clients, and manage compliance for them. Okay, for example, this is an Equinox Academy, and I do all the assessments for that organization. So you can manage your multiple clients from one location. Okay. I think I should respect the time. It's almost getting 8 now. Thing. I'm taking a pause now. Any questions you have? I'll try to answer that. And of course, if you have, or I recommend that you sign up for a free demo. We'll be happy to extend you our professional plus tier for your evaluation. Right? Please get in touch so that I can upgrade your plan. So all you have to do is sign up on our website and share your email ID so that we upgrade your subscription.
Mr. Navi, Mr. Mahadev, Tukaram, can I ask once?
Yeah.
I'm Rajendran from Chennai. Am I audible?
Yes, Mr. Yeah, you are very audible, very much audible.
Okay. No. My one thing, perhaps it may sound very silly also. The consent data principle gives a request that my data is to be removed. You confirm that the data has been removed, or within 30 days you comply with it. Now, does the consent principle take your word on merit that actually it has been removed, or does he have any means to verify that you have actually removed it?
Yeah. Okay. As the compliance tool, the data is not handled by the compliance tool. Okay. The data of that.
True. Actually, it will be the responsibility of the DPO as well, right?
Yes, the evidence you are talking about, right? The evidence of that being deleted should be recorded. Right? And of course, yes, once it is been deleted, I'm not sure whether it is mandatory that we have to give him the evidence or not. Probably, yes, if he comes back, how do I believe? Probably you'll have to say, but we can't entertain an audit for each and every data subject, right? Like, for example, for an organization, if there are about 25,000 users who are requesting update, is it feasible to show evidence for the 25,000 users on the system? That's a very big question.
Yeah, true. That's a big question. But suppose
of
the
course,
customer
if you have,
gives some part of his PPI, personal identifiable information he gives, then he later feels that out of a year or something, he says, please remove it. I do not want that to remain with the entity, organization any longer. At that time,
right,
the data principal has to believe you basically, right?
Exactly. So that's the best thing is, sir, as I told you, when you have in the data rights portal, when you go and mark that it has been done, send him an attachment saying that this is your evidence. And again, it's up to the customer. When if I am there, if I am deleting the data, probably I will send him the evidence of removing it. And certain cases, it may not be possible to show. For example, if it is in a SQL database, how do you show that it is removed?
Exactly. That is what exactly I have in mind.
Right. So that is an audit only will prove.
Typically, in an Oracle database, do you remove the access right, or you remove the data itself, or you remove the security concern there that you remove it data or the particular row, or the row will still remain there, only his access will go. When the access alone goes, the row will anyway remain for the data system administrators or DBA owners to access the data anyway. So all these are little more technological issues, right?
Yeah. Not only technological, sir. It's also an issue of how the company wants to implement it. Okay. So now there is a requirement probably from the law that you should not delete. For example, if there is an invoice data for that customer, as per GST, you will have to store it for 5 years. You can't remove it, right? You can deny in those cases, saying this is kept for these reasons.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Certain data, yes, we may remove. For example, from our marketing database. Okay, remove it. But whether we'll be able to prove, should we prove? How do we prove? When we prove? What's the cost of proving? All those things is to be considered.
Exactly. How do we prove? That is the point I was in fact, perhaps I'm sounding a bit cynical also.
No, sir, it is not like that. So when we start thinking about each and every requirement, right? When you get into in depth of each and everything, this is something that has to be coming into every consultant's mind or every user's mind, right? Whoever is doing compliance. To what depth are you going to go? Right? I can say, no, I will not give you evidence. I have said it, that's it. You want to go to the board, I will prove to the board.
But does the DPO have a right to say that I have deleted? Believe me, I can't give you any evidence.
Yeah, sir. Again, some law expert should come and let us know.
Navi can clarify this, I think.
Yeah, I think we have to fall back on Navi sir itself.
No. See, you are asking for the data principle. Am I correct?
Correct.
Data, okay. Now, data principle should be satisfied with the assurance given by the company. And he has to hold that. Okay. And the auditor, when he comes for the next time, he will perhaps ask a question. In the last particular period between the previous audit and this, tell me how many withdrawal of consents were received, how they were handled. And he may do a sample check there. So that control has to happen only through the auditor. If the data principal feels that there is a false assurance given or letter given, he should straight away go to the data protection board and then make it as a complaint. I think that is what I think is feasible for individuals. Even if some evidence you want to give, what is the evidence you will give? You will give a log record or something like that. He will not be able to understand what you are saying. Okay, so I feel that the data principle is unlikely to ask for an evidence other than a confirmation from the organization that it has been deleted. And or it is not been deleted because of certain legitimate use requirements, or it has been deleted from the main say active space, but we are archiving it for some reason. Okay, this is the response he has to give for the data rights request, and that is the evidence. Maybe you can say it has to be digitally signed. That is the only thing you can, as a data principle, you can insist that you please give me a digitally signed confirmation so that I will hold it as evidence. And before I require, I will perhaps write to the data protection board or something like that. Okay, Ramesh, you have got anything to say?
So if you permit me, Navi, can I just add one thing from a legal perspective? Would it be better as part of the consent agreement itself that our data removal clause will consist of such and such stating that we will say that data has been removed, which will be the final and binding on the part of the data principle, like those things, to overcome a scenario that we may have to face. We can include one such clause, at the time of taking the data itself.
Yeah.
Would it be better?
Yeah, I will add something more, sir.
Yeah.
As Rajendran is telling, that clause is required. Secondly, whenever data deleted happens, that should be intimated to the principal.
Yes.
Thereby complying the requirement. Whether he asks for it, and then seeks the information is not the criteria. We have assured him that we are going to delete, number one. Secondly, it's a policy of ours to delete. And when we delete, we should intimate. If you don't intimate, and when he asks the grievance officer locally set up, and if he asks for some more details, it cannot be denied except where you follow the principles of natural justice, where you have to hear him, give him a personal hearing, do all that, then give a convincing reply. Because you cannot let down the consumer. So when consumer satisfaction is there, two aspects need to be. We have to disclose, as Rajendran is telling, in the consent, this one itself, we are going to withdraw as a policy regularly. And also we should write when it is deleted, we are going to inform, and it should become a binding factor for the fiduciary to inform the principal whenever deleted. even whether he asks or not, it is immaterial.
Yes.
That's what I opine, sir.
Yeah,
I agree, sir. So that is what I said when presenting, that any action we take on the request is conveyed automatically to the data principal, because he has the right to know what's happened.
Yeah, Ramesh, you have got.
Yeah.
Sir,
The
now-
veracity of it, I think principal should not. If he still possesses and goes to DPO, then he may be fined for 10,000 rupees unnecessarily.
Yeah,
nagging
right.
it.
Because what is, DPO
Maybe
has a more
legitimacy.
response.
Maybe they will ask about legitimacy. Why are you so interested in this? Prove it that it is worth it, right? It worth the board's time. It worth his time. It's worth the company's time. Everything.
Yeah. Navi sir, what you said that maintaining a log file. Yeah. Now, is it not happening in the existing any IT systems, right? That audit trial, what we call every movement of deletion, modification, updation, onboarding, deboarding system we have already.
Yeah,
Why that same audit trial cannot be implemented over here for every record?
it has to be implemented. Now,
Especially,
the question is, is there a right of the data principal to ask for evidence?
sir,
Yeah, right. Exactly.
yeah. Now,
That's what I asked.
legally, I think even Tukram sir has correctly said it has to be, it's a legal perspective. But when the data protection officer need to have full control, because otherwise how am I going to prove myself? Forget about the other key stakeholders for the time being. Now, I need to, as per the law, within 30 days, I need to go back to him. Within 90 days, it needs to be completed. It's like a DSA request, simple. Now, what is that mechanism I am going to have? I have to have an audit trail that I received the request from A, I have done it. Oh, that is an assurance through an audit trail or a log. Now, if the data principle, right, that is an interpretation. Rajendran sir, I really don't know, I'm not a legal guy. But if that guy has that provision and he is asking, system has got a provision to give it to him. What is the problem? Isn't it right? Because systems already we have enabled. Now you look at any SaaS product, Microsoft, every movement of mine is being tracked by Microsoft. And I can ask for the log file. There is an investigation, there is an incident. I'm getting it from them already. What time, who went it, immute, because
In the case of in the case of a SaaS product, the question of a customer or the data principal asking the entity was not envisaged. Now that is being envisaged now, isn't it? So it is slightly changed in the environment.
Even in the case of Microsoft, Meta, and all, sir.
I'm trying to say it is envisaged already from many of the regulations and etc. Right?
Exactly.
Let's say, for example,
Ramesh, one more thing.
Yes, sir.
Technically, you have a log record.
Yes, sir.
What the log record perhaps does,
I
it has
will.
got a daily, some recording of events.
Absolutely.
Can we pick out one particular item out of that related to an individual and then tell him that as per our log records at such and such a time, if a request was received at such and such a time, this was deleted.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, sir. Sorry to interrupt.
Wait. Now, if you want to extract it like that, you have to use some other software, not the original log record system is not going to give you individual line by line thing. Okay. So you may have to have a tool to extract that. My point is the data principal should be satisfied with a digitally signed confirmation from the company that his request has been properly handled. Now, beyond that, it is a question of an inquiry and say looking at the audit records and other things, which the data principal cannot do, and it has to be either ordered by the data protection board itself or an independent auditor. When he's doing, he can ask some questions, and if he feels that the company is in the habit of giving out assurances without correspondingly deleting the information in all its places, auditor has to make a note of that. Okay.
Right, sir. Just to answer, sir, Ramesh's question, when we are deleting, for example, from an SQL database, as Rajendran sir was mentioning, Oracle database, let's say, when deletion happen, probably we are deleting with any data older than, let's say, 30 days, delete it. Okay. Probably that is the SQL I run. If I have run that SQL, there is no way to say that I have removed this person's data or the other person's data. So that is where the traditional logs may not be sufficient, and it depends on what's been done.
Sir, I will give one quick input here. I'm just coming out of one review meeting. I was asking during that audit discussions, is there an instance where I was asking the team, is there an instance where you can tell me CI/CD pipeline, we understand, right? Somebody had modified it or whatever, unauthorized access. Can you please show me kind of evidence? And then they showed me one
modified backend or through an SQL query.
No, that's from the GitHub.
Microsoft, that Azure development we are talking about.
If it is through an SQL proper query, it will be proper record will be there. There'll be nothing.
Exactly. That's what my understanding. While doing it, we are doing it already in the application development. Navi sir, it's only a general log we are talking about. Every record, there is a log getting created. Audit trail is getting created. That is the biggest problem.
No, I understand.
People are talking.
How do you extract?
Yes, sir.
How do you extract
And beautiful. No, Navi sir, one more quick input. You said it correctly. I'm generating the log. However, impossible for you and me to really get into. That's why we use that Motomo engine and so on, which is getting integrated to application, and then that engine helps me to analyze it quickly, like our current AI. You are right. But what I'm saying is that development, that application has got its own feature.
That's fine. Now, to satisfy Rajendran, yes, or to make him more dissatisfied, if I ask the question, if I ask the question,
yes, sir,
of evidence of an electronic document extracted from a computer device, I will say, where is Section 63 certificate? Otherwise, you can give anything you want. Okay, let's not go into that. Let's not confuse DPOs about Section 63 certificate, because this other tool which you are using, as well as the log record creating tool, these two are applications which you are using. So the person who uses that application and extracts, I will say, please give me a Section 63 certificate that you use this particular certificate, application, and extracted it. This is a faithful reproduction of what I saw.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so far, people are not asked that question. We have to leave it there. That's why I say, take the assurance of the DPO or the organization, digitally signed, and for the data principle, that should be the norm. And if you want to put too many conditions in the consent, that I will not do this, I will not do this, then that consent itself becomes questionable. You cannot make it look like another legal document, a contractual document. Okay. So if a request is there, data rights is exercised, the company will provide its response within whatever time is required, and with whatever digital signature they can give. Then if there is a complaint, it will be first handled as a grievance redressal within the company. If the person is not satisfied with the grievance redressal, he can go to the DPB.
Yeah.
And what we are suggesting in most of the cases is this grievance redressal mechanism itself, you introduce an ombudsman kind of a situation, or even mediation, so that going to the data protection board will be the last resort as far as the person is concerned. Yeah. He may not accept the reply given by the data protection officer, but if an ombudsman gives the same reply saying that I am satisfied that the company has done this, he may be satisfied. If that is also not there, then you go for a mediation. At that time, at least data principle can be satisfied. I think if you have a grievance redressal mechanism with these two additional steps, then the probability of him going to the data protection board is less. If he goes to data protection board, there is a risk that data protection board can order a overarching, let's say, inquiry, they may find something else in the company wrong. So that's why it's better to ensure that it is settled at this level. There will be a few people like that who will raise that kind of queries. So, okay, Strengths kind of things is only that, no?
Navi sir,
Okay.
I think we have not addressed Mr. Rajendran's question. He is clear. His question is, do they have right to ask? Because that law is not very categorically, implicitly saying
Exactly.
so.
Exactly.
Correct.
No. Basically, Ramesh, as
Yes,
you
sir.
rightly said, as Navi also says,
Yes, sir.
see, WhatsApp says end-to-end encrypted. We
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
Microsoft says our data
Yes,
is safe.
absolutely.
We believe, isn't it? Right? In fact, we believe all MSCs. So we believe the entity. I mean, period.
Rajendran sir, with Microsoft,
But
very good that you raised it. I just
the buck stops there. Buck stops there.
But stops there. Yeah, exactly. Now you rightly put it.
The only thing I'm adding is the digital signature.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
The person, let him say that under digital signature that I have deleted.
Navi
Okay.
sir, I remember, I think your concept in terms of that gateway, if I'm right, not gateway, that is pseudonymization. One more thing you're talking about. What is that? With the JB, we were discussing. No. For this audit trial, you were talking about affixing that digital signature kind of stuff for every instance.
Yeah.
What is that?
That is cyber evidence archival.
There you are.
Cyber evidence archival. Yeah.
That is the answer for, we have to.
Right. Exactly. One such common evidence repository kind of mechanism.
Yes.
Navi sir developed a prototype for it, Rajendran sir.
Yeah, right.
What, 1-2 years back?
See, Navi has been a pioneer in doing so many things.
Too much with him.
even the consent today, you just put a click here, I accept, is not legally acceptable.
Not legally acceptable. Yeah, right.
Okay. So it will be questioned on digital signature basis. So it has to be actually a system has to be built up for that. As long as technology people do not know much of cyber law, it is better. There is a problem.
Very good.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Mahadev sir, I had one question. In the earlier slides, I think you were showing about different organizations also, subscribing to this plan, and you were showing that in one of the last few slides of your presentation. So, what happens to the actual data? Where does the data reside if we are looking it from the same console?
For all stays in Supabase. It's in
When
Mumbai.
you say all stays in Supabase means it's in the same data center?
Yeah, it's in the data center in Mumbai.
It's in the same database as well?
Yes.
Okay.
And all data is encrypted. And it is not a straight forward as is storage for every data.
So why you have not considered having a separate database for each customers or each client?
Not required as such. I mean, we can, but the infrastructure that would be requiring would be huge.
Yeah, of course, it will be a
the
huge
concept
thing,
of
but isolating the
having
data
SaaS
from
and
one
other-
customer to another customer may be a critical thing, right?
Yeah, in the eventuality, if there is a breach you are talking about.
Yeah, it's very easy to, for a hacker or somebody to access multiple clients' data at a single breach.
No.
Yeah.
Is it a
it
SaaS
may not be.
Tukram sir, is it a SaaS product? It's a cloud product?
It is a cloud product.
Yeah, then you will be having
it's in Amazon Web.
Tenants, right? You will be giving a subscription and then tenant for everybody, and then they can be in the same cloud. What is the problem? There is no issue.
No, but he said same database, right?
No. Instance I'm talking about. The subscription.
No, if it is instance, it is, as you said, it is a separate thing. But if it is the same database, it's an issue.
It's the same database.
Okay. Because the moment, as Ramesh sir said, if it's a different instance, all the deployment, including the front end and the database and all the interfaces, will be separately deployed.
No. I did not mean that.
See, every row is authenticated access. So row level authentication happens whether that particular user has access to that row.
So let's
it's
say
not
you're an
only at the
administrator.
database level.
Let's say you're an administrator and you have a certain authentication mechanism. If I am able to breach that authentication mechanism, I will be able to reach all the databases, all the clients' information, including multiple clients' information, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to flag.
Okay.
Any other questions from any other audience?
What Srivastava says is, permit me just for a minute. What Srivastava says is a background access to database. Accessing database, even the system administrator, they will not have any right to add, delete, modify, or that kind of an access database. They'll have database for something like backup and copy and all that. But this kind of add, delete, modify kind of an access database with access privilege through a backend access, not through a front-end SQL command, like update a table, modify, set value, this equal to this, where like that
Correct.
kind of a giving an SQL command.
Right, sir.
To a backend.
If we,
It's the
sir,
most dangerous thing. No. This is not
adding
the
to
result
you,
of DPDP. This has been in existing, this kind of a
very long
threat,
time.
or whatever you call it. This is in existing right from the mid-90s when Oracle or that kind of a database was
Correct.
actually there. Oracle or Sybase or whatever.
Sir, adding to that, if we get so paranoid, we would not be using any of the online services.
Exactly. You hit it there, Mahadev Tukaram.
Okay,
That's
we
what I
can be about security.
beyond some
Like
point,
as they said, right?
At some point, we have to be prepared. That's all.
Yes, that's right.
Now we want assurances. Why should we prepare to take somebody else's liability?
We want assurances. Like
we want assurances. The contract should ensure that certain liabilities are.
Yes, exactly. See, in fact, that's what Oracle. That's what Oracle is. All the latest versions, I think from 11, 12 or later, any backend access, every bank. I mean, since I'm from a bank, I can tell you what banks do. There is a set of mechanism procedures. Every backend access will be completely by default recorded. Any command you give is completely recorded. It's an uneditable permanent record, uneditable record. At least we can check that such a kind of record kind of mechanism is there. Yeah, record can be. I think this is the maximum we can do.
One more thing, it should be archived outside the control of the admin.
Exactly, true, absolutely true. Correct. We can't give the key to the same person who is, right.
Yeah, non-tamperable,
non-tamperable, non-editable, non-tamperable, complete archival for record purpose at any time. Yeah.
Right. So that if somebody has accessed it, they should know, okay, you had run this SQL and you had accessed all this data.
Yes.
Right.
And in fact, many of the banks, they have procedure that before running the SQL, it goes to one step higher, they authorize. Okay, you run the SQL.
Right.
Any other questions?
Right, sir.